Good evening, everyone.
Bonsoir tout le monde. Bonsoir tout le monde.
My name is Reem Fayyad Abdel Samad.
And my name is Amal Kilani. We would like to start to acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is part of traditional unceded land of Mi'kmaq as we commit to reconciliation with indigenous peoples.
On behalf of the Arab Culture Club, we would like to welcome you, our amazing audience attending in our first in-person event since the COVID-19 pandemic hit at Salle Bernard Leblanc tonight, as well as you, our followers from all around Canada and the world who are watching us live via the social media platforms in the quest for Tarab.
We would like to thank you for joining us tonight in celebration of Tarab Heritage Month as we share with you the magic of Arabic music. Although it is not officially recognized by the Government of Canada, in February 2022, MP David McQuinty introduced a bill in Parliament that would officially proclaim April as Arab Heritage Month, if passed. This year, we are hoping to see April become the official month celebrating Arab heritage in Canada.
The Honorable Jeanette Petitpas-Taylor had planned to be joining us tonight, but she apologized because of a last-minute commitment that she had to fly to Ottawa. But she kindly offered to share her greetings through a recorded video, so we're going to listen to her greetings.
First of all, I'm terribly sorry that I'm not able to join you in person as I had originally planned, but last-minute changes in my schedule is something that I'm certainly getting used to these days. I do want to take a moment to thank you for the invitation and hope that I can join you in person in the near future. Merci encore une fois de m'avoir lancé l'invitation et quoique je regrette que je ne puisse être avec vous ce soir, je suis certaine que ceux d'entre vous qui ont la chance d'être au centre Aberdeen profiteront d'une soirée divertissante mais aussi très enrichissante. We all know that Canada is a vast country and its diversity is certainly its strength. Thanks to efforts like groups like Arab Culture Club in spreading information and sharing the many gifts of their culture, we now have a better opportunity to learn more about our neighbours and about the Arab world's contribution to both Canada and the entire world. What I do think is probably less known to most Canadians is the Arab influence on world music, and it's quite exciting. An event like this can certainly help change that. Cette activité permettra certainement à plusieurs gens de notre communauté d'en apprendre davantage au sujet de cette belle musique et aussi nous permettre d'élargir nos horizons. More important, because music is a universal language. I think an event like this can really help bring people closer together, and that is something always worth celebrating. So a big thank you once again to all the organizers of this wonderful event for bringing people of Moncton, Riverview, and Dieppe and our entire community together this evening. I wish you all a wonderful evening. Encore une fois, mille merci et bonne soirée.
Thank you, Minister, for the kind words. This event and the whole program we have been implementing during the month of April was possible with the support of our partners, the Canadian Arab Institute in Toronto, City of Moncton, Centre Aberdeen, and Arabika.
So Quest for Tarab is a journey that we would like to take you on to tell the story of Arabic music and classical Arabic music, how it started, how it evolved, and how it influenced world music in general. Of course, a story is not enough. We're going to have to experience the music together today. And some of the beautiful Arabic classical music that is going to be actually played in fusion music, blending different instruments, Western as well as Oriental. And I think I'm going to get into you that you're going to be moving to the tunes. And if you feel like singing with us, please feel free to do that.
Besides the magic of music, we are bringing you tonight the magic of visual art, and in particular, Arabic calligraphy. The Alexandrian artist Tariq Alisi kindly accepted to share his stunning paintings that you saw on your way to the Salle Bernard Leblanc. We would like to invite you to enjoy those hypnotic lines and colors and to explore his art. Without further ado, we would like to introduce our guests.
So, a year and a half ago, my friend Zina sent me a message saying that her neighbor was a Canadian musician and who was very interested in Arabic music. And when he learned she was from Arabic origins, he asked her whether she knew of any Arabic musicians around Moncton. So she told him about Arabika, the local band I'm part of and for which I'm wearing another hat tonight. It took us a couple of months before we actually connected. And afterwards, I have actually been so impressed by the wealth of knowledge and passion he's had for music in general, and especially for Arabic music. So I'd like to welcome Louis Marc Vautour.
End of last year, the Arabic Culture Club Facebook received a message through the Facebook mailbox from a young gentleman moving from Toronto to Dieppe and asking whether there was Arabic musicians here. That's how we met Abdurrahman Ali, an amazing oud player with an impressive talent.
Our third guest is Mohammed Dahib. He lives in Riverview, and he's originally from Morocco. Together with Khalid Badr Zaman, they established Arabika around the year 2008. He is our lead percussionist tonight. Thank you for joining us, Louis and Abdurrahman and Mohammed.
Before diving into the music and the tarab, we would like to chat a little bit about the history of Arabic music and the golden age of Arabic music. By definition, music is a universal expression of human sensibility through the sounds and melodies of instruments. It is also a reflection of individuality, culture, and identity. So how has Arabic music started, Louis, according to your researches?
Well, it's ancient, actually. You got this on, guys? Can you hear me all? I'll project. I think.
Yes.
Arabic music is actually ancient. It's been influenced by the ancient empires going all the way back to the old ancient Babylon Empire, the Syrians, the Neo-Syrians, and so on. But it eventually ended up being spread all through the world. If you research instruments from China, India, Indonesia, South America, North America, Africa, they almost all lead back to these original instruments. and they were spread through the world. If you look in the history books, over and over, it keeps mentioning Arab traders brought these instruments around the world. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. There's an image of a map I'd like to show you about the routes that these instruments took. But it goes back to ancient times, and these instruments are still, they haven't changed very much since ancient times, as we'll see by some of the photographs later on.
Amazing.
Thank you. So usually forms of art tend to evolve. They're never static, as you mentioned, and they get influenced by so many other cultures. This is especially was the case for Arabic music. It influenced and was influenced by so many cultures, as you mentioned. So again, we're going to bring it back to what you were just talking about, like how did Arabic music spread to the West and influence the other world, especially from a perspective of the instruments that you're going to probably be sharing with us.
Very important cultural relationship between the Persian, the early Mesopotamian, prehistory. The Persian empires that existed there really expanded civilization fast. And what happened was a tribe from the northern part of the Arabic Peninsula going all the way up to Syria, and they lived all over the Arabic Peninsula though. They're called the Nabayatu. And they became really, really good at shipping. They were originally shipping on rafts along the Persian Gulf, but they also brought goods from India down around the Persian Gulf and around to the Red Sea as well. And so they got really good at trading. They made good relationships with the Egyptians, the Ptolemaic Empire, and eventually their shipping got really, really, really powerful. And there's a funny answer to this. The answer is elephants. Elephants spread this music all over the world. And you'll say, elephants, but how? Well, when the Greek Empire was split between the north and the south, they started warring after Alexander died, and we had the Greek Empire in the north and the Ptolemaic Empire in Egypt and in parts of Africa and the Middle East. And they started warring with each other. And the northern Seleucid Empire were bringing in elephants from Asia, and they're dominating the southern empire. And so the southern empire said, well, we need our own elephants, but how do we get them here? So they enlisted the Nabayatu tribe to ship these elephants up. So around 600 BC, there was a boat that was created in India. And because these Arab traders had access to these boats, they brought these boats down to Africa, and they built a bunch of ports along the Red Sea and along the coast of Ethiopia and Somalia. And so they brought these large, huge elephants up north. And so they realized, oh, we can ship elephants, we can ship anything. So they start shipping incense, frankincense from southern Arabic Peninsula all over the world, and they're bringing goods back from these Asian countries, from India and China. But in the meantime, they're spreading technology, they're spreading language, they're spreading literature, they're spreading culture in general. And with them, they're bringing these instruments from the Middle East to these Asian countries, but also bringing Asian instruments back to the Middle East and to Europe through the Red Sea. So this is the general path of how it went.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing
Speaking
knowledge.
of, I mean, for the instruments, because we're talking about instruments, I know Louis had prepared kind of a chronological sort of slideshow. Maybe we can share it on the screen, and you're going to tell us a little bit about some of the instruments and how they evolved.
Yep.
Right now.
So this is the first known stringed instrument. It's a bow, and it went in your mouth. It evolved into the bow harp, as we see, and later the shung. This goes back to about 4000 BC in Mesopotamia. Then the bow flattens out and becomes the lute. In Egypt, you'll see the sintir. This is a common ancient lute. This takes two arms, gets an arm across it called the yoke. This is a yoke lute or a yoke harp. Then these are harps that are 2500 BC. They found them in Ur. This is an ancient Egyptian drawing of a harp like that. Over here we see the tambour, and this is a zither. We have strings stretched across a piece of wood called the zither. This is the kanun, a modern Arabic zither. This goes back to 600 BC in the Sumerian Empire. This is contemporary Chinese zither. You can see the difference in technology. This shows up about 200 BC in China. This is also a Greek influence on that. A Venetian zither. The modern, this is a Indonesian zither. The Chinese yangqin, which actually means ancient zither, or foreign zither, which became acclaimed instrument in the end. Now we have the tambour. We can see the tambour here and how it evolved. The pandura was the original name for it, but it got transliterated to tampur from pandur. Pandur meant small bow, because the hunting bows that they used originally were very large, but when they became smaller instruments, they became small bow. So here we see more tambours from around the world. Tambour, 6-string tambour. We see the Indian sitar. We see the pipa in China. That doesn't come till about 200 BC as well. The shamisen in Japan. The sanchin Okinawa. The lutar from Morocco, coming to the oud around 800 AD, 700 AD. This is the European lute. The guitarra, marishka, the Moorish guitar. Another guitarra. We have another Spanish guitar. The Baroque guitar as we get more into modern times. Then we have a painting by Vermeer, the famous painting. Then we have a classical guitar, the modern classical guitar that we're all familiar with. So you can see the lineage of how these instruments evolved.
So,
Mandolin. Oh, now we have some stringed instruments. This is the first bowed instrument about 700 AD. Then we've got the Moroccan rababa, the Kamanche from Persia, the rababa going east to India, the Akhtar and the Dotara, the Morankor, the Dihu from China and the Erhu, the Banhu wood in China. It's a wooden spike fiddle like the others. Then we have the Korean version of it, the Japanese version, which actually evolved from the shamisen through Indonesia. It's kind of an interesting story as well. Byzantine lyre, the violin coming from the rebec. And here we see some Scandinavian versions of these instruments as well. So you can see the roots. These were the trading routes that they took. So we lost it. But you can see that they were traveling. Their original routes were from Saudi Arabia up north. They traveled to Damascus, bringing spices from the south. But eventually they traded all through Africa, Asia, and they were the dominant traders. They actually got control of the Silk Route right when the Seleucid Empire collapsed. They partnered up with the local Persians, and they took control of the Silk Route. And they were basically in control of it up until about 1250 AD, when the Ottoman, when the Turks and then later the Ottomans took control of the Silk Road. So they had control by sea of all Asian and European trade, any trade coming from Asia, by land and by sea. They controlled it all. So for 1,500 years, they've been bringing these instruments all over the world, and it touches everywhere all over the world.
Yeah, it's amazing how cultures can blend, and I think you focused probably on the side of moving east, but one of the influences also that I know, it's about the moving west as well towards Spain or Andalus, and I think Abdurrahman has mentioned about the oud and ziryab. I think you have something about like how this movement influenced Spain.
At that time, maybe 800 or some years ago, something like that. There's a famous musician called Ziryab. He was from Iraq, and then he moved to Andalus. And when he went there, he brought his knowledge of music, and he brought the oud there. And from there, the oud like changed and evolved until eventually became the guitar. One of the things that he done to the oud, he added a 5th string, so that increased the registry for the oud to be almost like 2.5 octaves instead of like 1.5. And at that time, before Ziryab, they used to use wooden plectrum to strike the strings to make the sound. And then he introduced the feather, which is called the risha. Still to this day, we call it risha, even though it's not a feather or like a risha. But he used to use an eagle's feather. And he said that this, like the sound that produced by this is like as clear as the wooden one, but it's less intense and less like harsh on the ear. So he clearly like tried multiple things before he found something that gave the exact sound that he wanted.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you guys for this information and amazing knowledge, Louis. We have a test for you before leaving the room, so we'll see about that. Up next, we have Reem singing Muwashahat for us. Hope you enjoy.
So Muwashahat is one of these typical music from Andalusia. لما بدا يتثنى أمان 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 حبي بجمال فتنا أمان 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 لما بدا يتثنى لما بدا يتثنى حبي بجمال فتنا أمر ما بلحظة أسرنا غصن فنا حين بان وعدي ويا حيرتي وعدي ويا حيرتي من لي رحيم شكوتي في الحب من لوعتي إلا مليك الجمال إلا مليك الجمال إلا مليك الجمال أمان 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 لما بدا يتثنى لما بدا يتثنى حبي بجمال فتنا أمر ما بلحظة أسرنا أمان 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 Thank you very much. So we already went into, now we're diving into the beauty of the classical Arabic music, and one of the important elements of Arabic music is what we call maqam, which means translates into the place. And usually what distinguishes Arabic music is that there's this emphasis on melody and rhythm versus the harmony, which is usually the case in Western music. Abdurrahman, I think maybe you would like to tell us a little bit what is maqam and how similar it is between, like, what's the similarity between?
Maqam is different than like the idea of a scale, because the maqam you have the scale, but you would have specific notes that are important, and there are specific paths that you need to go to and stops to give that maqam its personality, its distinguishing features. For example, like they have different maqams, they have the same scales, but you can distinguish them because you put emphasis on specific notes in one maqam, but not the other in the other maqam. And one of the key characteristics of Arabic music is the chorotone that we have. In Western music, you would have the space between one note to the other. Either you would have a full step or a half step. In Arabic music, we have like 3/4 of that. If anyone knows Western music, like if you have the piano, you'd have like a white key and then a neighboring black key. The space between the white key and the black key is half a step. And then if you can imagine putting another key between the white and black, and if you press it, it will produce a sound, and that'll be similar to what we have in, yeah.
So let me show them the semitones
Sure,
first.
sure.
So semitones would sound like this. And then we have selected quarter tones along the path here, but so if we go up here, so we'll have a note here. This can go up a quarter tone, and then another quarter tone. Then we go up another quarter tone. Very fine difference in quarter tones. You have to train your ears really well to hear them.
Yeah, and because of these chromotones, they give us more than one scale. Like we have Maqam is kind of like, you can build it from something we call a tetrachord, like 3 or 4 notes that consecutive. And with Arabic music, maybe like we have 11 or 12 tetrachords that you can put them together and they give you different maqams and they give you different scales.
Yeah. In Western terms, we would call it like half a scale. Like we have 8 notes in our scale from the root to the octave. We would kind of divide it into 3 and 5 or 4 and 4. And it's a much better system. It's got a lot more fluidity and it's got a lot more variety and permutations when you add all those different, they're called jins, those little half scales. So you get lots of permutations.
We're going to explore the beautiful maqamat tonight, and with a very beautiful songs. I think it's very timely that today also happens to be Mother's Day. So we're going to have 2 songs about flowers. We tend to, everyone gives flowers for Mother's Day. And I see Louis is also kind of presenting that tonight. He just told me, you see, here we go. It's Al-Wardi Gamil. The first song is Al-Wardi Gamil. And it's one of the very beautiful songs for Kulthum.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you, that was nice, and I said, okay, so let's.
Ready, guys?
Whoops, give me 1 second. I'm such a Westerner, I'm still reading off my music sheet.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
شوف
flowers. This song basically says flowers are beautiful. But we have a song that Abdul Rahman is going to share about flowers as well. It comes from the Arabian Peninsula, from the Arabian Gulf.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay. وردك يا زارع الورد فتح ومال عالعود قل بربيع الورد من في الجمال موعود وردك يا زارع الورد فتح ومال عالعود قل بربيع الورد من في الجمال موعود وردك يا زارع الورد وردك يا زارع الورد وردك جميل محلاه فتح ومال غصنه لما الندى حياه والورد مال حسنه وردك جميل محلاه فتح ومال غصنه لما الندى حياه والورد مال حسنه ومال يمين وشمال وردك يا زارع الورد جميل ومال ومثال وردك يا زارع الورد وردك يا زارع الورد فتح ومال عالعود قل بربيع الورد من في الجمال موعود وردك يا زارع الورد وردك يا زارع الورد.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abdul Rahman. We come to the part where we discuss why everybody's here for the Tarab, for the Samia. Al-Ghazali wrote a treatise on music in Persia which declared ecstasy means the state that comes from listening to music. This speaks to the concept of Samia Tarab. Louis did research about this and was fascinated by it. Can you share with us how you saw that, the concept of Tarab and Samia?
Well, I have read about it before. I've heard it mentioned in Arabic music, but I didn't really understand the concept. It gets mentioned alongside Arabic music often because it's sort of the point of Arabic music. I didn't really understand it at first. I kind of got a gist of it, but I didn't really understand it until I read a wonderful book called Inside Arabic Music by Johnny, I think his name is Farhan. Yeah. And it's a wonderful, wonderful book about Arabic history, history of Arabic music, and about explaining maqamat and jins and instruments and arrangements. So it's a very in-depth book if you're ever interested in exploring Arabic music. But in that book, he explains Tarab extremely well. There's some definitions, and it translates as ecstasy or trance-like state. But anyone who's a music fan and has gone to concerts, it doesn't quite explain the feeling that you get when you're overwhelmed by the emotion of the performers. You're just feeling the music. And the band is feeling you feeling the music. And it's a feedback. It's between the audience and the musicians. And it happens in rock and roll, it happens in jazz, any sort of live performance. You'll get that tarab just flowing between the audience.
Where improvisation is something important.
Yeah, jazz music, you'll hear guys go, woo, woo, you know? And the same thing happens in Arabic music. When, you're listening to those old recordings, you'll hear the audience just freak out in the middle of a solo. And I compare it to jazz nerds in Western music. We call them jazz nerds because they're the guys who are right up the front watching everything, and they're like, oh, yeah, I see what you did there. So but as a music listener, it's this overcoming of emotion and feeling and just connecting to the music. And for me, it's a very spiritual experience. It's the essence of why I'm a musician. And I seek it in all of the music that I make, whether it's Arabic or Canadian or rock and roll or classical or anything. This is what I'm going for with my audience and with my ensemble that I'm performing with. You got anything else to add to that?
Yeah, thank you, Louis. This is, when I saw Louis the other day writing about this concept of Sami', I was really stunned by the depth of analysis that he's done about it. And one of the factors that actually lead to the concept of Sami' and Tarab is what we call taqasim. It's the way we play music that brings this emotion to people while listening to it. And I think Abdurrahman, he's going to share with us a little bit of these taqasim. And Amal is going to follow, I think, with one of the beautiful songs.
أنا في انتظارك كده أصبحت وأمسيت وشافوني وقالوا كان مين على كده أصبحت وأمسيت وشافوني وقالوا كان مين يا ريت يا ريت يا ريت يا ريت يا ريت
يا ريت يا ريت يا ريت يا ريت
يا ريت يا ريت يا ريت يا ريت يا ريت يا ريت يا ريت يا ريتني يا ريتني يا ريتني عمري ما حبيت
Allah. Isn't that beautiful? So this is one of the very old songs by a very famous singer, Kulthum, from Egypt. And speaking of Kulthum, we're going to talk a little bit about how the music evolved. So Louis gave us a little bit of a history about how the ancient times it evolved, but obviously Arabic music took different forms, and at some point in time it became more secular. There were more female voices involved more and more over time. Kulthum was one of the pioneers from Egypt. There was also Fairuz in Lebanon, who's very well known. Speaking of that, I'm wondering between Muhammad and Abdurrahman, how do you find Arabic music now has evolved? We know we used to have these long songs. Obviously, this is just 5 minutes that we sang from this long song, which could go for 1 hour.
Yeah.
But
Now it's shorter, it's quicker. So what would you have to share on that?
I think the change started maybe earlier in the 19th century, maybe in the 30s, the 40s. Arabic music started to sound more Western. So they added a lot of Western instruments like guitars and keyboards and stuff, and electric guitars even and stuff like that, like accordions and stuff like that. So they started we want to look global, we want to look presentable. They thought like what they had is not enough for other people to be interested. So they said like, if we add Western element to it, then we're gonna sound like these like classical like music or something like that. So from then the music started to become like more electronic, more engineered, more something, we want something quick that sells, and then next month we're gonna do another song that it's gonna be quick and sells, and then so it became more of like a commerce more than art.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a set of instruments that orchestra would play. There
Yeah.
is one keyboard or one machine will play that whole thing.
It'll be the full
And
orchestra.
that's why, yeah, I mean, now it's more oriented or specific to an audience that wants to dance, wants to.
Yeah.
They don't, the Tarab, it's not really, there's not a lot of people that likes to listen to the Tarab, but most of the new generations, they want to listen to music that it's active, that makes them move, that's how they think that they feel the music. But that doesn't say that people that are listeners or Samia, don't exist. They do exist. It's just, there's just a lot of, like few of them that exist now, and they like to listen to music and in a relaxing atmosphere and in a really calm atmosphere, just listen to the actual instruments play the tarab, or play
Well, we have to also mention that although the songs have been going shorter, but that doesn't mean that we still can't get a richness even in shorter songs. So there were lots of composers and like the Rahbani in Lebanon, who were really like, they were influenced by a lot of world music. They created a lot of songs for Fairuz. We mentioned Fairuz, our Lebanese legend. And a lot of songs were short, but they were really they can move you, even if they were short. And we're going to explore 2 songs maybe now, بنت شلبية and then نسم علينا الهوى for Fairuz. And Sabah Fakhri is another example.
Can I just make a
Yeah.
I just want to make one comment about Fairuz. She is the
Yes.
biggest selling Arabic musician ever. She has sold over 150 million albums. Just to put that in context, Pink Floyd sold 250 million albums, so they're right up there with Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
A living
thank you.
legend.
That's actually a great
A living
addition,
legend, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start with بنت الشلبية.
Okay. Whoops.
بنت الشلبية عيونها لوزية حبك من قلبي يا قلبي انتي عينيا حد القناطر محبوبي ناطر كسر الخواطر يا قلبي مان عليا كسر الخواطر يا قلبي مان عليا بتروح والقلب مجروح أيام عالبال بتعن بتروح أيام عالبال بتعن بتروح تحت الرماني حبي حناني سمعني غناني يا عيوني وتغزل فيا سمعني غناني يا عيوني وتغزل فيا حبك من قلبي يا قلبي انتي عينيا كسر الخواطر يا ولفي مان عليا أيام عالبال بتعن وتروح أيام عالبال بتعن وتروح تحت الرماني حبي حكاني سمعني غناني يا عيوني وتغزل فيا سمعني غناني يا عيوني وتغزل فيا
Thank you. Thank you. We're gonna stay with Fairuz, and this is one of my favorite songs, actually. It brings me back home. And please sing with us if you feel like singing. Sing with us.
نسم علينا الهوى من مفرق الوادي يا هوى دخل الهوى خدني عالم
Thank you for singing along. I hope you didn't get emotional about not being at home and going to Bladi. This is a great evening. We learned a lot about Arabic music and its links to world music as well.
Definitely, it's not the end. We're just ending the first part that includes the discussions, but we're going to move more into the music. But we'd like to take a moment to thank the amazing audience, whether in person or virtual. Our partners, we need to mention our partners, the Canadian Arab Institute in Toronto, that was a great support helping us to celebrate Arab Heritage Month. The City of Moncton, Aberdeen Center, and the great staff of Aberdeen Center. A big applause for them, please. And of course, Arabika. And beside this wonderful evening, I have to mention that throughout April, which is the Arab Heritage Month, we did a lot of activities, and that involved a lot of community support as well. So I just would like to mention the Moncton Public Library, which helped us feature a lot of Arab authors throughout April. There's also Khalid Al-Sheikh, who's a calligraphist from Montreal. He provided amazing calligraphy for Arabic names that we featured throughout the month on social media. And also a big thanks to the artist Tariq Alaisi, whose beautiful masterpieces are outside the hall in this Arabic visual language exhibit. Special thanks to the programming committee. I have to mention the committee that helped us carry out this event and this activities. They were super engaged. They were very passionate volunteers who made this happen. I'd like to mention Hussam Al-Gammal. Where is Hussam? Is he around? He's outside. He's the person who helped curate the art exhibit that's outside. Our volunteer, there is Ala Fayyad, our photographer. Ala was taking care of all the photography, the graphic design, images. So thank you for his support. And Amal Kilani also is one of our volunteers. She did a great job tonight, obviously. I'd like also to thank the board members of the Arab Culture Club. And I'm going to call their names, and I hope they would stand so everyone can see them. So we've got Fatima in the back. Maha, Dr. Mahmoud, and Zena. So the show will continue. We're not done yet.
We'd like to invite you to some traditional Arabic treats and to stay with us to enjoy the rest of the evening and sing with us.
Yeah. So the treats we invite you to experience come from different cultures from the Arab world. So we've got some Lebanese, Syrian food, and we've got also Moroccan food. So enjoy it, and we're going to keep on going with our singing and music. Thank you.
طلعت زي ما احنا نقولها.
طلعت يا محلى.
Okay.
قاعد عالسقيا يا خلي أسمع يا محلى نور شمس الشموس يلا بنا نملى ونحمي لنا الجاموس
هنعمل فوق النخل وبعدين نقدم.
فوق النخل فوق فوق يابا فوق النخل فوق ما درينا ما خدتك يابا ما دري القمر فوق والله ما ريدا باليني بلوان فوق النخل فوق يابا فوق النخل فوق مدري لما خدك يابا مدري القمر فوق والله ما رينا باليني بلوان وبالله يا مجرى المية بسلم عليهم عليهم صعبان الفرقة عليا اشتقنا إليهم إليهم والله ما عذبني بعيونه الحلوة فوق النخل فوق يابا فوق النخل فوق ما دري لما خدت يابا ما دري القمر فوق والله ما ريدا باليني بلوان قدك المياس يا عمري يا حسين البان كاليسري قدك المياس يا عمري يا حسين البان كاليسري أنت أحلى الناس في نظري جل من سواك يا قمري قدك المياس يا عمري يا حسين الباني كاليسري قدك المياس يا عمري يا حسين الباني كاليسري أنت أحلى الناس في نظري جل من سواك يا قمري أنا وحبيبي في جنينة والورد مخيم علينا أنا وحبيبي في جنينة
الورد مخيم علينا
طلب مني وصال يا ربي تستر علينا قدك المياس يا عمري
يا أمينا
كاليسري قدك المياس يا عمري
يا حسين الباني كاليسري
أنت أحلى الناس في نظري جل من سواك يا قمري
Thank you. يا مسهر
Can't hear.
Ready?
ما خطرتش على بالك يوم تسأل عني، ما خطرتش على بالك يوم تسأل عني، وعنايا بقى فيها النوم، النوم يا مسهرني. أنا قلبي بيسألني إيه غير أحواله، ويقول لي بقى يعني ما خطرتش على باله على باله. أنا قلبي بيسألني إيه غير أحواله، ويقول لي بقى يعني ما خطرتش على باله. أمال غلاوي حبك فين، وفين حنان قلبه عليا، فين غلاوة قربك، فين فين الوداد والحنية. يا ناسيني وانت على بالي، وخيالك ما يفارق عيني. يا ناسيني وانت على بالي، وخيالك ما يفارق عيني. عيني ريحني واعطف على حالي، وارحمني من كتر ظنوني. لا عليا بهواها النوم، ولا بخطر على بالك يوم. لا عليا بهواها النوم، ولا بخطر على بالك يوم تسأل عني. يا مسهرني. الله.
It was really good. أكذب عليك.
It's up to you guys.
It's up to you. Do you want, do you know? Yeah, I can make it. Do you know هو صحيح الهواء غلاب or no? هو صحيح الهواء. هو صحيح الهواء غلاب. Sure, we can do it. So which one? Yeah, but هو صحيح? Okay. هو صحيح. هو صحيح الهواء غلاب. Just play it and everything.
هو صحيح 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 الهوى غلا معرفش انا هو صحيح 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 الهوى غلا معرفش انا والهجر قالوا مرار وعذاب والهجر قالوا مرار وعذاب واليوم اليوم اليوم بسنة جاني الهوى من غير مواعيد وكل مدى حلاوته تزيد جاني الهوى من غير مواعيد وكل مدى حلاوته تزيد ما حسبش يوم هياخدني بعيد ما حسبش يوم هياخدني بعيد بعيد يملي قلبي بالأفراح وارجع وقلبي كله جراح يملي قلبي بالأفراح وارجع وقلبنا كله جراح 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 ازاي يا ترى اهو ده اللي جرى ازاي يا ترى اهو ده اللي جرى اهو ده اللي جرى وانا معرفش انا
ممكن تظبطنا
You sing too. I want to hear you sing.
no.
No, that's funny.
Ready?
وانت وانا يا حبيبي انا يا حياتي انا كلنا في الحب سوا ولا منه لا هوى ولا منه لا هوى منه الهوى منه الهوى سهران الهوى يسقينا الهنا ويقول بالهنا والهوى منه الهوى والهوى منه الهوى منه الهوى منه الهوى سهران الهوى يسقينا الهوى ويقول بالهوى يا حبيبي يلا نعيش بعيون الليل يلا نعيش بعيون الليل ونقول للشمس تعالي تعالي يا شمس تعالي بعد سنة مش قبل سنة تعالي تعالي يا شمس تعالي بعد سنة مش قبل سنة في ليلة حب حلوة بألف ليلة وليلة ألف 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 ليلة وليلة من كل العمر هو ده عمري ليلة زي الليلة زي الليلة ليلة زي الليلة ازاي اوصف لك يا حبيبي ازاي قبل ما احبك كنت ازاي يا حبيبي ازاي اوصف غمضة عين وريتني حلاوة الأيام فين حلاوة الأيام فين حلاوة الأيام فين خدتني بالحب بغمضة عين وريتني حلاوة الأيام فين حلاوة الأيام فين حلاوة الأيام فين الليل بعد ما كان غربة خليته أمان والعمر اللي كان صحرا صباح بستان الليل بعد ما كان غربة خليته أمان والعمر اللي كان صحرا صباح بستان يا حبيبي يلا نعيش بعيون الليل يلا نعيش بعيون الليل ونقول للشمس تعالي تعالي يا الشمس تعالي بعد سنة مش قبل سنة تعالي تعالي يا الشمس تعالي بعد سنة مش قبل سنة دي ليلة حب حلوة بألف ليلة وليلة ألف 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 ليلة وليلة بكل العمر هو أنا عمري ليلة زي الليلة زي الليلة ليلة زي الليلة. Thank you very much. Thank you. Are we still going or we stop? Going? Keep going. Keep going. Let's see the musicians now.
What song do you want? Okay.
Actually, I have a funny story about this song. This is a song for singer Warda, أكذب عليك. And as like few years ago, every time I have a gathering with my family and friends, and people start to sing, then okay, Reem, what do you want to sing? And I start with أكذب عليك. So it was kind of a tagline for me. Every time I go and there's music and people want to sing, so Reem, give us أكذب عليك. I was like, okay.
أكذب عليك 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 لو قلت بحبك لسه أكذب عليك أكذب عليك لو قلت سيبك همسة أكذب عليك أكذب عليك لو قلت بحبك لسه أكذب عشان كنت حبيبي، انت حبيبي يعني لسه حبيبي، ولا حبيبي عشان كنت حبيبي. قول يا حبيبي قول، قول يا حبيبي قول، قول يا حبيبي قول، قول يا حبيبي قول، قول 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 يا حبيبي. Thank you very much. It was an amazing night. We had not planned for like so many songs. But actually we can. Do you have requests? That's right.
If we can.
I think the musicians did not like it.
If we know them.
We can do it, yeah. Okay. Any requests? Oh, okay.
Nope.
Okay, I can do it with the percussion. I can do it in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can follow.
Go ahead, and I'll follow you.
Okay. Okay. طلوا حبابنا طلوا نسم يا هوا بلادي، بين رجوعنا حلوا وضحكة سهرات الوادي، وبالفيات غنينا وعلى الميات تلاقينا، على أغصان ما حلوا ينسانا الطير الشادي. احنا حكايات بيبانوا منا نغمات موال، احنا حكايات بيبانوا منا نغمات موال، لما النسمات تحلالوا بين الغابات بينادي، لما النسمات تحلالوا بين الغابات بينادي. Thank you. You got it there. Yeah. Other requests?
Yeah.
Feiruz.
Not much. No.
نعيد من الأول. That's nice, okay. Yeah, this is a dedication for all the kids that are with us today. It's one of the famous songs. تك 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 يم سليمان، تك 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 جوزك وين كان، تك 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 كان بالحقلي عم يقطف خوخ ورمان. يا ستي يا ستي بدور كيف القمر بيدور، والناطورة بدها شمس والشمس بعقد المرجان. تك 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 يم سليمان، تك 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 جوزك وين كان، تك 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 كان بالحقلي عم يقطف خوخ ورمان.
Yeah, but what key? What key?
يا ريس سمره شرقية يا ريس، والبحر كويس يا ريس، وصلني حبيبي عند البحرية.
I think so. We have one guest who'd like to share his talent. Your name?
Yunus. Hi.
Hi, Yunus. Okay.
Actually, I like the أكذب عليك. You just sung, but I don't know. I'll try to think about. أنت عمري. أنت عمري. أنت عمري. It's okay. Hello, everyone. رجعوني عينيك لأيام اللي راحت علمونا ندم على الماضي وجراحه اللي شفته قبل ما نشوفك عينيا عمري ضايع يحسبوا ازاي عليا اللي شفته قبل ما تشوفك عينيا عمري ضايع يحسبوه ازاي عليا اللي شفته قبل ما تشوفك عينيا عمري ضايع يحسبوه ازاي عليا انت عمري اللي ابتدى بنورك صباحه اللي ابتدى بنورك صباحه انت حبيبي قد ايه من عمري راح ولا شاغل قلبي قبل فرحة واحدة ولا ده بدون طعم الجراح
ابتديت دلوقتي بس أحب عمري ابتديت دلوقتي أخاف للعمر يجري ابتديت دلوقتي بس أحب عمري ابتديت دلوقتي أخاف للعمر يجري كل فرحة اشتهى من قبلك خيالي التقاها
في نور عينيك قلبي
وفكري كل فرحة اشتهى من قبلك خيالي التقاها
بنور عينيك قلبي وفكري يا حياة قلبي يا قبلي من حياتي ليه
ما قابلنيش شوقك يا حبيبي بدري اللي شفته
قبل ما تشوفك عينيا عمري ضايع يحسبوه ازاي عليا اللي شفته قبل ما تشوفك عينيا عمري ضايع يحسبوه ازاي عليا انت عمري انت عمري اللي ابتدى بنورك صباح واللي ابتدى بنورك صباح انت انت عمري. Thank you. شكرا.
This is what I love about Arabic music. Spontaneous.
No planning.
No planning, exactly.
أحبك لو تكون حاضر ولا لا؟
Do a banger. Do a banger or something.
ها؟
Allah's got an idea.
لا ما شاء الله. على فين كان أجمل يومي ما شاء الله. لا. ها؟ لا. No.
I can sing it with you.
Yeah.
What's that? بتونس بيك وانت معايا بتونس بيك وبلاقي في قربك دنيايا بتونس بيك وانت معايا بتونس بيك وبلاقي في قربك دنيايا لما تقرب انا بتونس بيك واما بتبعد انا بتونس بيك لما تقرب انا بتونس بيك واما بتبعد انا بتونس بيك وخيالك بيكون ويايا ونجاه صوتك بيونسني وهواك في البعد بيحرسني ونجح صوتك صوتك بيونسني وهواك في البعد بيحرسني وخيالك بيكون ويايا ونجح صوتك بيونسني وهواك في البعد بيحرسني والشوق يناديلك جواي وانا 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 انا بتونس فيك وانت معايا.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we're about time. The live stream is 6 to 8. It was definitely an amazing evening, and I love the spontaneity in the songs and with the audience. Thank you so much. I'd like also to I'm going to thank the audience here, the audience who was watching live stream, all the guests. Special thanks to our musicians. So, Marc-Louis Vautour, thank you. Abdulrahman Ali and Muhammad Dahib. And hopefully we're going to meet in future events as well, since in person is possible now. I'd like also to thank our guests. MLA, Greg Turner, thank you. Melissa, thank you, representing the Mayor of Dieppe. Councillor Susan Edgett, representing Mayor Arnold. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.